At Elements Financial, we provide trusted advice through online articles, quick videos, and live stream workshops that cover a range of valuable topics. And our experts are always here to support you with one-on-one guidance. Learn more at elements.org/advice.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Elements Community Workshop Series. I'm your host, Ron Ellis, and today we're here to discuss ways to cut costs in the kitchen by providing some real-world advice that can help you control your spending in this essential area of your household budget. As always, our goal is to provide a few quick takeaways and tips and help you stay financially well. And joining me today to offer up some of those tips and advice is professional chef Erin, a Muncie native and Ball State graduate who is also a graduate of the New England Culinary Institute. Erin has been a chef in the Indianapolis area since 2004 at places like Scarlet Lane Brewing and currently the Small Victories Hospitality Group, the company behind Coat Check Coffee, Provider, Strange Bird, Landlocked Baking, and Chalet. In addition to turning out delicious food, she has also been responsible for handling the business end of managing food costs through effective ordering and planning. Welcome, Erin.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. One quick reminder for the audience, if you have questions, please feel free to post those in the comments section, and that way we can definitely address those questions. All right, Erin, I think most of us are keenly aware of the inflation we're all facing and how quickly prices are going up for a lot of things. But specific to our conversation, can you tell us a little bit about what's happening with prices at the grocery store and at restaurants?
Yes, it is a big problem right now, the inflation coupled with the gas prices. It does make going to the grocery, even for just a few items, remarkably more expensive these days. And from my end as a restaurant purchaser, I see how it affects our bottom line, and restaurants have notoriously small margins on food. This affects our restaurant. It affects our foot traffic into the restaurant. We try to keep our menu prices reasonable, but those have to creep up as food is more and more expensive, and then that translates into cooking at home as well. When you just go to the store for a few items and you notice that your eggs are now like twice the price they used to be when eggs were just a cheap staple before.
Yeah, and I as you mentioned that, it seems like every time I go to the grocery store and I want to shop for meat, it's another category where we're seeing sky high pricing. Why is that? Same sort of thing?
Meat is a particular topic that was really ravaged by COVID. A lot of meat packing plants, meat processing plants were shut down by massive staff outbreak of COVID. And then people don't always come back to work in those situations. Again, with the gas prices, just the cost of packaging meats, it all kind of rolls together into big price increase. Beef in particular, the lack of staff, the lack of the processing equipment, packaging equipment leads to less product, higher prices, and then you pay more just getting it transported to you because of the gas cost. So like a lot of our purveyors who deliver our meat, fish, dairy, they've all tacked on delivery fees that they used to not pass on to us.
Yeah, and we're definitely all feeling those price increases. As I said, the inflation's everywhere, and it's really been remarkable with food cost. And one of the things I think about is I love going out to eat, so I don't want to eliminate that. And I think from like a societal standpoint, it's important to support that. So super important that we take care of our budget on the week, during the week, so that we can go out on the weekends or whenever our special occasions are. And in that vein, Erin, what tips do you have for saving at the grocery store?
So a lot of the tips I have are similar to tips for shopping healthier at the grocery store. So, like making a list, it helps reduce the impulse purchases. Um, don't go hungry. That's a big thing. I have found myself doing it. Everything looks good. So you end up buying a lot of things you don't really need just because you're hungry. Um, and shopping the perimeter. It's true that, in the center of the store, it's more processed food, that's usually more expensive. But if you can shop the perimeter in fresh vegetables and fruit, the meat department, the dairy department, eggs, it's more bang for your buck. So, for example, you can buy a whole chicken, um, and make that into several meals. You can buy a pound of carrots, turn those into several meals. Getting creative in your pantry as well, with your staple goods. But shopping the perimeter, it's fresh. It's if you shop in season, so buying strawberries, blueberries now rather than in January when they're coming from someplace so far away, like in southern hemisphere, where the price. If you consider the price to get that food to you, that's why you're paying so much more. So shop in season. Um, Learn how to use raw materials, so you don't have to buy processed, prepackaged fruits, vegetables, meats, things like that.
So it sounds like, some big things to think about: seasonality, planning, and not being afraid to roll up your sleeves and do some of that prep work yourself, like you do all the time, Aaron. Right?
Right, right. Also, we probably all have our favorite grocery stores. I shop at Meijer a lot for my home pantry, and we get the M Perks coupons regularly, and it's saving on items we already buy. So it's not like they're wanting us to sort of impulse buy, like, oh, I've never bought this thing before, but I have a coupon for it, so I'll get it. We get coupons for things we already buy, so it saves us on coffee and oat milk and um, cat litter and all these things that we already are buying. So that's a good tip. Also, fuel points. I think Kroger offers fuel points, so that's sort of ties in with making your trip to the grocery sort of pay you back a little bit on your gas.
Yeah, nickels and dimes, they add up. And I know
Right.
something that I say all the time with budgeting. And, in that same vein, what I would say is that credit card reward points, I know Elements has a lot of great credit cards and a lot of rewards programs out there. We've got a lot of things that can fit a lot of different people. So, as I preach the budgeting concept, I also say with the coupons, with the credit card reward points, put money back in your pocket wherever you can. And I think, like you said, the Meijer example, the Kroger example, great stuff to think about. Now, one thing I think about, I talked to a couple of pros like yourself that I can walk into a pantry, look at it or the refrigerator and go, oh gosh, I have nothing in there. It's empty. Like, what am I going to do? I can't cook anything. And then someone like you goes there and says, I can cook a 5-course gourmet meal. So I know you've got a lot of insight with regard to like seeing the cupboard half full rather than half bare. What are affordable meal prep and planning ideas that you can share kind of in that same idea?
Right. I like to have my pantry stocked with certain ingredients that can be used over a broad range of dishes. So, like, I always have broth, chicken broth, vegetable broth. If I don't have time to make them myself, it's a decent substitute. Also, canned tomatoes are good to have on hand. You can make your own sauces with those. Um, Grains, beans, rice, quinoa, couscous, things like that. That can be a good staple sort of addition to your meal, that's filling, and can be used over a wide range of recipes. Um, Also, a lot of Asian products I have in my pantry that, different, like hoisin sauce, sriracha, sambal, different spice pastes and things that really can be stretched a long way.
So the things I'm hearing there, number one, the composition of your pantry and your refrigerator are important. You want to have a good base so that you can be flexible and do different things. Um,
Right.
and then and then two, just being creative and making sure that you do some planning ahead of time can get you a long way. So definitely important things to think about. Now, in line with kind of getting the most mileage with the food that we have. I know a lot of people complain about leftovers. Ugh, right? Talk to me a little bit about leftovers and how we can work with those.
Right. A lot of families who do meal planning, maybe they spend a full day, like on Sunday, prepping food for the whole week. So technically, you're eating leftovers all week. You just don't think of them that way if they haven't been revisited, But like making a big pot of chili on a Sunday, that can be lunch, for the next 5 days. So there's a benefit to making things in big batches. Um, the meal kits that are very popular now, they're great for families who don't really get into eating leftovers. Um, I love leftovers. I find that some dishes get better as they age, like lasagna and things. So I would always make a large pan of lasagna, even just for the two of us. Um, but take the popular meal kits like Every Plate and HelloFresh. We do those occasionally, and you have no leftovers. So on one hand, that's great. There's no food going to waste, um, and then everything is sent to you exactly the amount that you need. So that even it's fairly inexpensive when you break it down per meal, and the footwork is done for you. The kit comes right to your door. You just have to put things in the fridge, and then everything. You don't have to go shopping for a bunch of scallions. They send that. They give you clear instructions. It kind of teaches you along the way, so then you can apply sort of your technique to other dishes every time you make one of these kits. I feel like there's something to be learned, like how to make a pan sauce. So then you can apply that to your everyday cooking, even without the kit.
Yeah, for those of us that don't just know, like off the top of mind, like you probably do, how to whip up a sauce or cooking techniques. And I'm putting you on the spot here a bit just because we hadn't discussed this earlier in the week when we talked. But are there any resources that you know about or online ways to search and kind of find that assistance? Because to your point, some of those mail order meals, HelloFresh and the like, they do a good job of giving you really straightforward instruction, like you said, all the ingredients you need. But if you're just kind of free forming it on your own, any thoughts on resources or ways to find those resources?
People tell me that they have seen things on TikTok and learn new techniques on TikTok. I personally don't use TikTok, but YouTube has plenty of demonstrations. You name it. I'm sure you could type in how to make a pan sauce on YouTube, and it would talk you through it. And then that's something you can apply to your everyday cooking that then is sort of restaurant quality cooking that you're doing at home.
Yeah, that's how I just got done installing my floor because I'm going to plead guilty as charged that I have very little skill when it comes to home improvement, but I was able to crank through that floor. And so that's a great point. YouTube, TikTok, a lot of online resource out there. Now, talking about families, which, a lot of us have families, what are some specific suggestions you have if you've got a bigger group or you're planning for a family more than just two?
Right. Uh, Shopping wholesale clubs, Costco, the new one coming to the north side, BJ's Wholesale, Sam's Club. Going to these wholesale clubs, the membership is minimal, really, in the whole scheme of things. Um, I go a few times a year. It's just the two of us, so I can stock up on things that we have place to store them, for one thing, like toilet paper and paper towels and cleaning products and whatnot. But for families, I think it's great to if you have the space to store the wholesale packaging, it's a great idea. Don't get into the trap of fall into, the trap of buying things that you can't use immediately if they're perishable. So that's something to keep in mind. But I think like meat departments and produce departments of those wholesale clubs are pretty high quality products. And yeah, I think it's pretty an efficient way to shop if you have a large family.
Yeah, I guess it's all about scale, and it probably is similar to you shopping for a restaurant. You probably have to use that strategy because you're preparing food for so many people, far beyond what you'd have in a family or just a couple. So, some really great info today, Erin. Really appreciate you joining us to give us some insight on managing cost in the kitchen. And just as a final kind of takeaway, what are a couple major points or most important points from this discussion that you'd say people should take?
Buy what you know you'll use is a big thing, and that kind of ties into the wholesale shopping too. Some sources say like 40 to 50% of food in this country goes to waste, and that's just shocking to me. Look into companies like Misfits Market. I just got a flyer for them today, where they work directly with farmers and send consumers produce that maybe just isn't the right size for a grocery store display, where everything tends to be identical. And some good products come from these companies, and it kind of cuts out the middleman too when you're working directly with farmers. Yeah, just be mindful of waste, and maybe treat yourself to that beef that you've noticed is so much more expensive. Treat yourself to that a little less often, and then it's more of a treat. Sort of like going out to a restaurant. Budget your money during the week, then treat yourself to a restaurant meal on the weekend.
Well, great takeaways, great final tips. Again, thank you, Erin. Appreciate your time today.
Sure thing. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank everyone in the audience for tuning in. For those of you interested in the additional information that Elements has to offer, you can visit us online at elements.org, or for assistance or additional information on any financial matters or questions, we also have a really cool website, elements.org/advice, for a lot of resources available to you. But we appreciate everybody tuning in, and we look forward to our next community workshop. Have a great day.